Because you gave a very nice introduction, thank you, Nelly, for having us and having. It's very nice, and I'm very excited about the University Underground. I was looking into the program, and it's really amazing what kind of artists, entrepreneurs, musicians, etc. you have. So it's really a great program. So as Nelly said, I'm an artist. I studied new media back in the 90s when new media meant doing video with VHS. And I think we were introduced in Photoshop, and then the new feature in Photoshop was layers. So that was the time when I got my new media education. So it's been a while. And after that, I studied fine arts at Sandberg Institute, where I know Teun and where I know Nelly and yeah. So that's my artist practice. I will go a little bit on that. And then I'm also co-founder of Hackers and Designers, which is an tech art and design. I will briefly touch that as well. And then I have some advisory roles on art, mainly in public space or innovation. So that's the Stadscuratorium, and that's I will, if I have the time. Otherwise, it's not important who I advise, but I advise the deputy mayor on art in, or we advise the deputy mayor on art in public space, from what has to be kept to the new projects, etc. And then I'm an art advisor for the funding board in Amsterdam. And then especially the innovation, I do advise on public arts in the province of Drenthe. I'm a member of the programming board of Artie Amicitia. That's the oldest art club, art society. What's the English word? Art society in Amsterdam community. And that's also the demo. I'm one of the young guys in this club. And I'm a lecturer on various art schools and etc. So for that note, so here I am. So this is actually what Nelly already told. So I'm a member of an art group, which the group started in even when I was in art school in 1996. We were with 4 persons, and it slowly declined, I think is the word, into a one-man group. I didn't kick them out, but they left for various reasons. So it's nowadays I'm a member of a one-man art group, or I kept on struggling, whereas the others went into films. Actually, Sander, my friend, he's now making feature movies, for Hollywood kind of movies, whereas I am stuck with Teun in a boat in Amsterdam. So there is some difference, but we all enjoy it a lot. And what I wanted to talk mainly is my endeavor. It's called Radio Noord Amsterdam, and it's my or it's our radio station in Amsterdam Noord. Amsterdam Noord, it's a neighborhood in the north of Amsterdam. I don't know, Nelly, if you've ever been there, but it used to be somewhat of. Oh, you've been there, yeah. It used to be. It's really detached from Amsterdam due to a big canal, the I Canal, from Amsterdam. So has somewhat of a different vibe, and it's really a workers' area, or it used to be a workers' area. It's really developed around the beginning of the 20th century, and because before that the shipping docks, etc., were actually where we are now. In the boat. Before the 20th century, this area from the 15th century till the 20th century, the area where we're now drifting, is the area where all the ships and the VOC and the WOC, the West Indies Company, the East Indian Company, all these ships were kind of made here. But in the beginning of the 20th century, the ships became bigger, Amsterdam became bigger, and they needed more space, and they moved the shipping companies to the north. And at that time, they also started to think that the workers' movement became rose to prominence in the beginning of the 20th century, of course, with communism, socialism, and whatnot. And they started to think also that the workers had to live properly as well. And so you have very nice areas in Amsterdam North who were built in the beginning of the 20th century for these workers who worked at the shipping docks. And at the time they were very modern because they had, for instance, there were apartments and they had a bath cell so they could bathe in their own home, which was a novelty at the time because normally the bathings were communal. And there were houses with little gardens, and then you had also more institutional kind of areas where people who didn't behave well in the city brought there, and they were trained, and there were people visiting their homes if they fold their laundries well, and then they could move up. So it was all in the kind of socialist, democratic socialist idea to verheffen, jezelf verheffen, to not enlighten, to what does Marx say? He wants to lift the workers. Anybody who's more into Marx than I am? Well, anyway.
Elevate.
Yeah, elevate in the, but not in the mental, but also like they can grow. Well, that said, so that's the history of Amsterdam North, and now I lived there for some 10 years, I think, or 12 years, and the neighborhood is really gentrifying, and I think that's a common topic, or I'm not sure where everybody is from, but it's or at least in big cities, a really common topic. And I was asked to do an art project in Amsterdam North. And I always thought that I was one of the people in North. Due to my, I think, because I lived among all these worker people or former worker people. And now the anecdote. So there was one time this evening, where the neighborhood was invited by the municipality to talk about the neighborhood and to talk what we want in our neighborhood. And I was thinking, well, we're going to talk about pollution or people who are lonely and this kind of social issues, or like more trash in the streets. And then so you have this in the it's maybe also a typical Netherlands kind of thing that you kind of negotiate with your municipality what's done, and then the municipality does anyway what they do. But there's this kind of involvement of the community. So you go to a community center, and then there's tables, round tables. Behind the long table are the official people, and then the people from the neighborhood are sitting in around these tables, and then you have to. Each table is assigned, and there you have idea tables. So you have a trash table, and people talk about trash. And so you have a loneliness table, and you go around during the evening. You have these little sticky notes, and everybody dots ideas, and then somebody who's running the show puts all the ideas on boards, and then at the end you make somewhat of a conclusion, and then the municipality is supposed to do that, or at least they listen to the people and they do whatever they want. But at the end of the evening, so we were sitting there, and at the end of the evening, we, as the people, want a cafe, like a bar for alcoholics. And I was thinking, oh, did I spend my good Tuesday evening talking about that we want, I thought we were talking about social issues, this and that. But actually they wanted the cafe, and the people behind the table, the official people, they said, but isn't there a cafe on the other side of the street? Yeah, but it's on the other side on the street. No, we want a cafe on this side of the street. And I felt a little bit ashamed for my co-people. And I noticed that I actually felt that I belonged more with the people behind the table than that I was one of the people I was living actually with. And then I noticed that there was actually quite a difference between me and them, that I kind of chose to live between these people because I chose to be an artist, which in the Netherlands has also comes with a certain income that you are. Yesterday I saw the average income of a Dutch artist is 18,000 euros, whereas even a cleaner makes somewhat of what is it, 30,000. So you really choose to be poor to have this kind of life, and but my education and my background is totally different than these people I live among. So therefore, this is a very long story, that I noticed that I actually didn't know my neighbors very well, and I actually didn't know Amsterdam North very well, although I was living there for a very long time. But you can very easily live in your own bubble and be like progressive and whatever kind of things. But it's not really that. So then I thought, instead of making an art piece, maybe I should do. I was just interested in what's happening there. And back in the days, in the beginning of the 20th century, when they started building these houses for the workers, they also made community centers to kind of lift the worker also in an intellectual way. So you could have courses there in art or in language or Esperanto, and this kind of socialist idea. And these the thing now is that there's a lot of gentrification going on. So a lot of these worker houses are actually sold, and they're so expensive that workers can't, like with your average wage of 30,000, you can't live there anymore. And only since there's quite a lot of social housing, you can live there as well. Um, where was I going? And oh yeah, they have these community centers, and they're still there. So that the people who are living in the area, the demographic is really changing, but the houses are still there. But they changed a bit from role, and they're now mainly, yeah, for really people who are lonesome or very strange social, of not strange, like it's elderly care. They come together there and they do the knitting and the crossword puzzles, and there's some food, so they cook for each other. So these, or there's youth work in these houses. So I was kind of thinking, well, let's explore this area, and by visiting these community centers, and also learn the environment. And well, a very long story. The radio show is about that, visiting the community centers and making radio with the people who are there, and to try to give everybody a voice instead of, and it's what I aiming for is somewhat of a, like the local newspaper, that somebody is missing a blind cat, and that's in the newspaper, and the little stories are on the radio as well. And we drive around in this Kanta, it's called. It's a handicapped vehicle. We have a big speaker on it, and it's the whole studio is inside the Kanta. And we invite people. We go to a community center. We do a radio show with them, and we have some entertainment, and we have some quizzes, shows, songs, musicians, local musicians, people who telling stories. So let me just see if I can show you. Here I have a very Zit er geen geluid bij? Oh, sorry. You didn't hear any sound?
No, but that happens a lot on Zoom.
Oh, that's a pity because it's
yeah,
radio.
Because of course I
sound
understand the track and the sound is the key.
An integral part of the thing.
Well, we can imagine it. We imagine it.
Otherwise, I can share later on a YouTube video. Well, so it's the video we made. Actually, we made with the hackers in this. Yeah, I have to go way quicker. I think 3 minutes. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's a thing because I wanted to tell actually about if you're doing social art. In a little the problems that come with social art, that when you engage with people, that you really have to engage with them, because you can talk about them or you can address certain topics, but or at least in my practice, I really want to do something with them, which is not always nice and beautiful and flashy, but it's also strange, and it gets you in place. So that was but I now feel like I have to hurry a lot. But here you see sorry, so we do races. Actually, you see the middle picture, we're racing a lady who is actually 95 years old. She's in the scootmobile, and then yeah, so we have these kind of entertainments as well that we race. And then we have on the left side, there's a little CB. He's a rapper, so he raps, but he's a very short person, so he couldn't be in the counter because normally everybody is in the handicapped vehicle. And as you see in the down picture, so everybody's very cramped and close together, so it gives it a very intimate feel, but there's also people around it who can actually see the show. This is what happens when we are outside. This was about Wet in Noord, so this NDSM. What we tried is not to, because since we are artists, all art places are inviting us and, hey, can you do us something here? Because of course we are known in art circles, but we really looked for not art places and not fashionable kind of areas, but kind of, for instance, we went to the voedselbank. What's that in English? Food bank. And we make a radio program with people, because I know food bank from the newspaper, but I don't know it actually in real life. So we went to the food bank to make radio with people there, and it was way more tension because these people are not proud that they're at the food bank. But nevertheless, they wanted to talk about their lives and whatever they occurred and what they're doing, which made a very interesting program. This photo is in an art venue, kind of a posh art venue, but then we had guests who were in the artistic world, but then from a very different social demography. So we kind of combined it. Here we have a program with elderly, so we invite the elderly to talk about their things. This was a person who was, as me, as I'm talking very long on the radio, and then especially with older people, it's difficult to kind of say thank you, sir, and we have to go on with a program. So that was very nice as well. This is the coffee house. I think it's typical for, maybe it's typical for Amsterdam. It's, what do you describe a coffee house? You can drink alcohol there, but it's opened at 6 in the morning, and workers and people with low income come there. And again, you have that in Amsterdam North as well. So we made a very nice radio program in there. And again, that's also very awkward because we're kind of the strange art guys who going in their environment. And that's what we're looking for, to make something, not like look at these aapjes kijken, look at those people and the paradise birds, but to really engage with the people. And this was from a couple of weeks ago. My friend who was the co-host, he left for Bolivia to work with nose bears. So I was looking for another co-host, and then I was looking actually for a girl who was younger than I am, something to have some kind of other dynamics. And was from Amsterdam North. And then I found Gijs, who is kind of chubby, tall. He looks like somebody from a right-wing party. He has this white mustache. I think maybe Nelly, you know him. So he's also an artist. And he is now my co-host. And this was the 1.5 meter edition. So we have 1.5 meters. And then we invite the people not to come to the radio program. Because, of course, we couldn't organize events. And so we were sitting on the square, very uneventful, doing our radio show. And we made some postcards to send to the people because we only could phone in to the people. So we sent them postcards. And then, of course, we have our beauty shot. Actually, I think it's for sale. And then I have to go quickly to because I do also ceramics. And I do shooting galleries, girls with guns. I watched the elderly, also for a social cause. I did Instagram art. We made a cross where people could pose as Jesus Christ, but then in a selfie mode. It was in a museum. I did it with Stefan Smaes. This will Teun address, I think, because in the middle here we see, because this actually is a nice segway. So because Teun is in the middle, I'm on the left. Let me just, because I have to.
Are you going to say what this is? This is you three being like a part of a rock band that you created while you were at school, right?
Yes, yeah, but Teun is going to talk about it, I think.
Okay.
No, he's saying no. Now we have to, because that's the segue. Because I want to plug something. So I'm also part of Hackers and Designers. And Hackers and Designers is an organization which we started in 2013. And it's about art and technology. And it's about trying to find a common language between artists and technicians. That if you as an artist work with engineers, it can be fruitful, but it can also be tedious and difficult. And we kind of noticed that it was because we were taught differently. That an engineer is kind of taught that there's a problem at B, you are at A, and then you try to go in the nicest and leanest way. You find your way to B, from A to B. That's more or less what an engineer is taught. And I'm generalizing. Whereas as an artist, you start at A, and then you just go on your way and you end up at B, but you can end up at C and the rest of the alphabet. And it's also being on the road. And of course, you have to have an end result, but it's not that lean and being so focused on getting the answer right. And that's what we noticed. That was, I, for instance, did my projects and I put it in a box and I gave it to the programmer and then he finished it. And then we found out that you miss a lot of knowledge and knowledge exchange actually between the two groups. So therefore we kind of started Hackers and Designers. And so we worked with software developers, engineers, together with artists, designers, and we did little workshops, work together, and getting to know each other, broaden our network, and learn from each other. And that gradually grew into a bigger program, into an organization with a staff and this and this. And we are now with 7 people, and then there's a staff of etc. And we did longer workshops, because we started with lightning workshops and it was really a social engagement, drinking beer, doing little workshops, sharing knowledge. And then we made more formal workshops, day workshops, week workshops, and we ended up with the Summer Academy. And that's what I want to plug here quickly. So here I show you some pictures of the Summer Academy. Yeah, but it's also a very integral part of my work, actually. And it's really something I like, to go out of your comfort zone and to look for where does it become uncomfortable and where can you learn something which is different than you kind of know. So here we had this was on and off the grid. We had a solar trainer outside of our venue, and that actually provided our electricity. So we were all kind of sitting. We were all sitting there because we're all techies. So we were all sitting there with our laptops, and then we had an alarm, and we had a certain ration of electricity that we could use. And if it was not sunny, we had less electricity. So you had another kind of strain on the workshops, a practical strain. And then I think this polar bear was crying blood when the energy was running out for some reason. I don't know who did it again. So I can, and we're doing, actually this is here at Mediamatic. So we're doing biotech workshops. We making our own self-driving car. And we give workshops around the world about, for instance, building your own self-driving cars. Again, that is trying to combine societal topics of self-learning systems with the influence on our contemporary society. Here you see the self-driving. Actually, the Volvo we didn't make self-driving, but the other cars we made self-driving. And this year is since we had the COVID thing, so we had a whole summer academy riled up, and then the COVID-19 came in, and yeah, we can't have participants from all over the world. So we made this thing. It's called, and it's very similar to the University Underground in a way. It's called the Hackers and Designers Distributed Summer Academy Network Imaginaries. And what we now propose is to, instead of doing the workshops together, people around the world form groups, and people prepare workshops, and we share them around the world, and people can do them in smaller groups. And you can apply for that before June of 15. And the website is hackersanddesigners.nl, where you can apply. And if you're interested in exploring possibilities, boundaries of network structures, so it's really from basic networking into peer-to-peer kind of blockchain kind of technology. And now I really have to hand the mic to Teun Kastelein, ladies and gentlemen.